Yeah, good evening, guys. So, continuation from our previous content on other blocks. So today, let's look at high probability other blocks, right? Checklist for choosing a high probability other blocks. We're still on the other blocks. Other blocks, right? OBs. So we're still on other blocks. So let's look out for checklists for choosing a valid other block or a high probability other block. So high probability other block, high probability other blocks. Right, high probability other blocks. Checklist for choosing a high probability other blocks. Then checklist for choosing valid other blocks. Other blocks. So checklist for choosing a high probability other blocks or checklist for choosing valid other blocks. Yeah, so let's get started. So like I said from the previous contents, right? We have other blocks almost everywhere in the charts, but then it's not every other blocks that are tradable, right? We have non-tradable other blocks and tradable other blocks. So this checklist for choosing valid other blocks will help you choose other blocks that are tradable, right? Yeah. So with that being said, let me state some facts or checklist. Yeah. So an OB, an OB, right? An OB, you know what an OB is? An OB must be at higher time frame. I'll be using shortcut. Higher time frame must must be at higher time frame support or resistance, right? Higher time frame support or resistance, right? Yeah. So another one, right? Another block must an OB must sweep liquidity, must sweep liquidity, right? Yo. So another one, an OB, right, must mitigate a prior OB, must mitigate, mitigate, mitigate a prior, a prior, a prior OB, right? So another block, an OB, must create imbalance, right? You know what an imbalance is? Fair value gap or inefficiency must create imbalance, right? Imbalance or FVG, right? So you can choose to call it anyone or FVG, full stop, right? So enter an OB, an OB have inducement before it, must have inducement. An inducement must have an inducement. An inducement before it, right? So an order block must break structure impulsively. I didn't know why I had to forget this. An order block must break structure. An OB must break structure impulsively. Must break structure impulsively. Impulsively. Must break structure impulsively. Right. So enter. Okay. So let me say something again. Higher time frame OBs are more effective. Higher time frame OBs are more effective. OBs or other blocks are more effective than lower lower time frame than lower time frame OBs. Now, this last one doesn't mean that lower time frame other blocks doesn't hold at all. Right, yeah. So but then we'll all get to them. So higher time frame OBs are more effective than lower time frame OBs, right? So yeah, I would stop here, right? Must sweep liquidity, must break structure impulsively. Break structure, it can be BOS, right? BOS, yeah, it's BOS. So break structure impulsively. So these are the checklists to be using, right? Now, in some cases, there are some checklists here that are much important, right? Especially this number two, an OB must sweep liquidity, right? An OB must mitigate a prior order block, right? An OB must create imbalance or fair value gap, right? All of them are effective, right? So, but then let's try to work with them live in the charts, live in the charts, not something I'll be drawing some diagram for you. All right, yeah, so let's get started while doing things on the charts. Or should let me just give a little diagram using scenarios like change of character, right? Using scenarios like change of character. So now let's look at this structure. Look at this structure here, right? There is something nice about this structure, right? Here we broke structure. We have a BOS here, right? We have a BOS here. We have a BOS here, right? And we also have another BOS at this point. We also have another BOS at this point. But then before we broke this structure, something happened. We had a change of character, like a change of character. And this change of character now cleared liquidity. Liquidity got cleared at this top, right? Liquidity got taken at this high. Price took out liquidity from this high. And at that point, there'll be a valid order block at that point where price will sell from, right? After this high has been cleared, right? I use this X as cleared or something that has swept. Yeah. So after price took our liquidity from this high, from this first high, right? Price reversed. And we will have a valid order block at this point. It's clear liquidity, right? And price will come back to mitigate from that order block. Here is a change of character, remember. Here is a change of character. And here will be smart money trap. Smart money trap to trap people who are trying to sell too early. So price will just come, retrace inside here, then sell to the downside. So this is how an example looks like, right? It must clear liquidity, it must break structure, right? It must break structure. Let's say we broke structure here before price reverse to that side. Yeah. So and your imbalances may be found around this region, right? A minor imbalance will be found around that region. An imbalance will be found around that region. So this is the checklist for choosing a valid order block, right? For choosing a valid order block. Same thing for a long setup. Same thing for a long, right? For a long, you set to take profit target at this low, right? So same thing for a long setup. So now let's quickly look at the chart and see where these checklists, where all of them appeared or were present in the charts. Let's look at these things to see where all these checklists were present in the charts. Yeah. Spirit lead me when my trust. Come on, is section. Okay, so now let's take a look at this structure. This structure here, right? This structure here. Looking at this structure, I don't know if I should zoom out or zoom in. Yeah, so looking at this structure here, we have a movement at this point, right? Here is a hidden under block, a hidden under block, right? A hidden block here, a hidden order block at this point, the price mitigated from, right? And as price mitigated from here, we actually made this thing a move at this point. We did a complete smart money reversal sign, a change of character here, and then this telegram message should get the fuck out of here. So, and then we sold from this region, but then here now we didn't sell from, and we sold from an imbalance. So let's not count this because we are trying to look out for change of character patterns, right? So we are trying to look out for other block as a supply and demand region, not FVGs or imbalances. When we look at FVGs, we talk about it. So let's try to continue with this. So after we mitigated this region, now this region here now to sell again, you'll be waiting for another block that is continuing from this previous supply zones, right? That is another block must mitigate from another block must be coming from a prior OB, right? Must mitigate a prior OB. But here we mitigated an FVG or an imbalance, right? And we also have another smart money reversal sign here, sorry, not a reversal to the upside, a reversal to the downside. And we cleared liquidity from this. Look at this side. Let me zoom in. Let me try to zoom in for you guys. So look at this candlestick cleared this high, right? We took our liquidity from this point. We took our liquidity from this side. This candlestick here, this one cleared our liquidity, clear liquidity from there, right? So we take this one down, we take it down, and here becomes your order block, right? You have your valid order block at this point, right? Here is another order block, but then if I'm to ask you, this other block here now didn't sweep liquidity, right? It didn't sweep liquidity, no imbalance was created. So, but here we had a liquidity sweep, although we are provided with a tiny imbalance that got filled. I won't count this as part of the imbalance I'm looking out for, right? So after this liquidity got swept out, right, price came back and mitigated from this region. We broke structure, we broke minor structure once again. We broke minor structure, BOS down. So we broke minor structure once again. Remember, this is your change of character from this point. This point, these 2 points are your change of character. So we broke minor structure to the downside. And after we broke structure, remember from the checklist, another block must let's go back to that thing so you could see that very, very well. An OB must break structure impulsively, right? Must break structure. So you look out for other block that broke structure. Right here, we didn't have an impulsive break, but then we had a break. Yeah, so and that validates us. And it didn't just break structure, it also clear liquidity from this previous candle here. It's clear liquidity from this previous candle at this point. Right? It's clear liquidity from that previous candle. And let me show you the candlestick, right? Let me try to zoom out. It's clear liquidity from that high. You could see that high there was cleared. So, and as liquidity got cleared here, we clear liquidity at this point, right? And then price sold from this other block here. Price sold from this other block at this point. And let's say you're trying to trade this thing. You're going to target this low, right? You're gonna target this low as your take profit target in the market, as your take profit target, and sell the market to the downside. And let's continue with the markup, right? We also clear liquidity from this high again. This high again, clear liquidity. We took out all of this. Um, we took out liquidity from these highs at this point, even from this last high before the reversal. And let's mark here as our liquidity being taken out. And here also becomes your valid order block to sell the market. And you could see that price also came back to mitigate from this order block before selling to the downside. So if we are going to look out for trying to trade from this POI, from this POI in particular, where the fuck did that thing go? So if you are looking to trade from this point in particular, right, you will see that we made a nice movement, right? We made a nice move at this point. So let's proceed with our markups. I don't just want to use this one as an example because this one set liquidity, broke structure, and we moved. Yeah, so let's look at the macro structure because all these things are internal structures. I want to look out for the macro structure. What is actually happening outside of these markups? Okay, so here now in price, okay, look at what happened there. We took out a buy side liquidity. A buy side liquidity got grabbed at this point, right? We took our liquidity from this high. We took our liquidity from this high. We took our liquidity from that high, and then we had a change of character for a confirmation, for a sell confirmation. A change of character for a sell confirmation, right? Let me mark that shit. For a sell confirmation at this point. A change of character for a sell confirmation. We had a change of character at this point. Look at this one that got taken out, right? So we had a change of character at that point. And what did price do? Look at this high now. We grabbed liquidity from both this high and this current high. So price grabbed liquidity from both highs. And here becomes your order block in full. If you're going to sell from this point, here becomes your order block in full. Okay. Here becomes your order block to sell the market in full. This other block, right? But then if you're looking to refine, you want to refine the entry, right? We'll talk about refining other blocks. You look at this other block that swept another high. Okay, so you look at this other block that you look at this candlestick that cleared this previous that cleared liquidity at this point, right? Let me zoom in. This candlestick clear liquidity at this point. You want that clear liquidity. So you are going to like use that candlestick if you want to work with that, right? So you are going to work with that candlestick if you wish to. So, and this becomes you trying to refine that other block at that point. That other block at that point in time, right? So, and we proceeded with our sales. The sales didn't stop there. The sales didn't stop there, right? We proceeded with all of the sales and we had our sale continue. And where did price reverse from? And as we are selling, take note of structures. We kept on breaking lows, right? We took out this low, which is not the main low, right? We took out this low. We kept on taking out all of these lows. We took out this low too, this low entirely. So, and then when it was starting to reverse, I think we reversed from an FVG point. Yeah, price reversed from an FVG. So we reverse from this region in price. We reverse from this region. So let's continue with our markups. And as we are reversing, let me try to expand everything here. Yeah, so this is the structure we've marked so far. The structure we've marked so far, right? The structure we've marked so far. The structure we've marked so far. So let's continue with our markups. We took out this low, right? We took out this low, right? A BOS at that point. We took out this low, right? And we are still creating lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows. And this was the last low we took out, right? Before we moved to the upside. The last low we took out before we moved to the upside, and we had our overall trend. Because this is a lower high, right? We need to break this low. We need to break this high to confirm trend a trend reversal, right? Not this one, not this one here. These are all minor structure, fractal structure, right? We need to take out this high to confirm that the trend is actually going to switch to bullish. So we had a fractal BOS here. Now looking at this other block, trying to choose this other block. If you look, we didn't take our liquidity from this other block here. This last other block that reversed, we didn't take our liquidity at all. Yeah, we had an imbalance, right? We had an imbalance, but this thing didn't take our liquidity and price didn't come back to mitigate it. No liquidity was being grabbed, right? So let's continue with the markup. We broke structure at this point, minor structure, fractal structure. And inside this structure, we had something like a change of character. Look at this structure here. Look at inside of it, right? We grab liquidity, and not just that we grab liquidity. Price actually took out this inner structure low, this internal structure, the low, right? Price grab liquidity from that low, and then a pure change of character was formed at this point, right? So let me mark this thing here. Change of character up. So we had our liquidity being grabbed from this low, and price broke this minor high. So this one now here, we weren't able to sweep liquidity from this low. We weren't able to sweep liquidity from this low. So we didn't use this, right? And price didn't come back to this. So we weren't able to sweep liquidity from that low at all. So now I'll be looking forward to buy from here, right? Because we've completed it. We also had our imbalance at this point, a minor imbalance, which price actually reacted from and bought to the upside. But then this is the other block that is valid, right? We have two other blocks here. This one is not valid at all. And this structure that broke here was a weak one. So we're using this other block, price didn't react to it. Let's see. Okay. We had a nice movement. Yeah, let's see for this. This one, yeah, price failed. It was a weak reaction, totally weak one. So, like I said, so price bought from this point, price bought from this other block at this point. This was where we bought from, right? And we made that move to the upside. We target our 1:5, and that was a good goal. So this is the movement at this point. So let's continue with the markup. How price kept on moving. Right, so here was actually funny because price made a move from an imbalance, and we broke structure, right? Here is a BOS, right? A BOS to the upside. This is a BOS also. So a BOS to this side, and look at this BOS, same pattern repeated. We cleared this low, same minor pattern that happened there. We cleared this low, right? Liquidity was being grabbed from that low, and we broke this high, like an internal structure change of character, right? And we reacted from this POI. Remember this other block, we grabbed liquidity from that low. So we reacted from that other block, right? From this other block. And Price actually mitigated here the first time and also and came back for the second time where it's cleared this low, the liquidity line in this low. This is a weak low and price grabbed liquidity and we reversed to the upside. We reversed to the upside. We reverse to the upside. So let's say you are in this part of the chart in your in price, right? Here will be your take profit target. We don't target unrealistic regions. So we target this swing high because we are in an uptrend. And what happens in an uptrend? Price breaks structure. Breaks structure to the upside in an uptrend. So all your TP target should be at the highs because you'll be waiting for price. You'll be expecting price to break that high and move to the higher and move to the upside, right? So let's continue with the markups. I'm not looking at these internal structures. I'm looking at the higher view, the bigger view, right? So here is another BOS, another BOS, right? Here is price reacting from an imbalance. Here is price reacting from an imbalance. And here is a valid order block. So let's continue with these markups. All right, we broke structure once again here. We broke structure here. We broke structure here. Here is a BOS, right? We broke structure here. And yeah, this other block was a nice one. It's clear liquidity, right? It took out this low. It took out this low and it has imbalance, right? Remember, imbalances, price can buy from an imbalance. Imbalances or FVGs, they're actually demand and supply zones too. Hope you know. Just like how other blocks are demand and supply zones. So from here now, we have the FVG and we have the imbalance, and price actually reacted from the imbalance. Price actually reacted from the imbalance. You could see the reactions. The reactions. Price reacted from the imbalance, and that was how we broke structure here. So price reacted from the imbalance, and this other block here failed. Another block could be invalidated. Hope you know. Yeah, it's not a golden trading strategy, no holy grail. So it got invalidated at this point, but this is a valid OB to use, right? Because it was coming from here. So, and we target this high, we target this high, we target this high as a TP. So let's say you bought from this imbalance, right? Let's say you bought from this imbalance. Let's say you bought from this imbalance. Just like the previous one, you set your TP target at this low because you believe that price will come back to that low and then go to the upside, right? Price will come back to that low and then go to the upside. Your TP target will be this high, right? For a downtrend, your TP target will be at the lows. So now we reverse. Remember, when we want to reverse, change of character will come on board. Change of character will come on board, right? We have a minor change of character here, and we have the bigger change of character when we lost this trend. When we lost this trend, that was when we had price going to the downside impulsively, right? So, damn, wow. Let's see where this. Oh, that was a full order block, a full one, like a major one. Price didn't even react to it. Price sold from an FVG. So let's continue with this markup. Price sold from this block in full, like total in full. So let's continue with our confirmation entry and other blocks here. So to continue with this one, we had a change of character once again at this point. We had a change of character at this point. We had a change of character at this point, right? We had a change of character at this point. At this point in price, we had a change of character here, and we cleared liquidity, right? We cleared liquidity from this last candle. We cleared liquidity from this last candle. From this last candle. Liquidity got swept. So if you're looking to sell this market, right, you are either looking to use these full order blocks, which price reacted to in full, or you make use of this minor one. Because me, I'll be using this one, and if I use this one to be a skipped entry, right? So, and skipped entry is not a bad thing. And look at this other block actually have imbalances. So it's made of the criteria in entering a trade, right? In choosing another block, it's have imbalances inside. So not to make the chart dirty, let me adjust this thing. Let me adjust this thing here. So let's continue. After this change of character occurred, change of character to the downside, right? After this change of character occurred, we have price breaking structure again, right? We have an internal change of character once again here, but then let's don't look at that. Let's not look at that. So let me mark up. Let me continue with my markup. So we broke structure again here, break up market structure to the downside, right? We break structure here again, and here we clear liquidity from this candlestick. We clear liquidity from this candlestick, and that makes this one a valid order block. That makes that order block a valid order block, right? It made this order block a valid order block to sell the market to the downside. So you sell from here, right? And as we've broken structure, you'll be looking to sell from this point again. Here we have imbalances. We have imbalance, right? Remember, all these things are in the checklist. We have imbalances, but then we didn't clear high from here. But it's coming from a prior, or should I say, it's mitigated a prior OB, right? From this one to this one, from this one, and now price mitigated from this same region, right? And we sold to the downside, 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 right? We sold impulsively to the downside. We sold impulsively to the downside, but then let's keep it here. So we sold impulsively to the downside. Now looking at this structure, right, we actually clear liquidity here, but that will make you that would be this was where the major structure, the swing structure got changed. Here was the major change of character, right? This high and this low. And as we lost it, we started selling aggressively to the downside. As we lost this low. We lost this low at this point, right? And you could see our price started selling aggressively to the downside as we lost that low. So let's continue with our markups. We broke structure again, right? We broke structure. Now we've switched trend to our entire downtrend. So an entire downtrend. We broke structure to this side. Here is another block. Should I say an imbalance? Price reacted from this imbalance, right? Price reacted from this imbalance at this point. And this imbalance cleared liquidity. We clear liquidity from this point, right? And if I should go to lower time frame, this liquidity, this point that we clear liquidity from this high, there will be an order block from lower time frame, an order block to sell the market from this point, right? Sell the market to the downside, which we did. So let's continue with the market. We clear liquidity again from this low, from this high, sorry. We clear liquidity from that high, and price sold to the downside by mitigating it once again. Price came back, right? After we clear liquidity, price dropped to this side, then mitigated it before selling to the downside. So we broke structure again. We took out this major structure. Remember, these are all internal structures. We took out this structure, right? BOS to the downside. I've just been making my calls, right? My calls from a very long time. So I've been making my calls for a very long time. And okay, so coming to this one, let's continue with the markups. Coming to this one, we have price coming from a prior mitigated OB, right? When price mitigated a prior OB coming from a previous order block that price is selling from, a supply zone that price is selling from, right? So this was just the full structure here. Nothing much happened there, just bad structure at this point. But then we had just internal structure being broken, right? Internal BOS, internal BOS at this point, and we actually grabbed liquidity from all of these highs here. So, but then let's keep it simple. So coming to the nothing much happened here. I wouldn't have mind selling from this point. I wouldn't, because if I try to look out for this other block, look at this other block. This one I didn't clear liquidity, right? It didn't clear liquidity. I need another block that clear liquidity by taking out this high. Sorry, by taking out this high before selling. Before selling, right? So, but then this one, this candlestick. Look at this candlestick. Look at this candlestick. It didn't take out any high. It didn't take out any high, right? It didn't take out any high. Something like this. Let me make, when I mean high, something like this. Before it should sell, before it should sell, let's take out a high. Like let it be higher than the previous one, right? Let it be higher than the previous one. Let it be higher than the previous one. So let it be higher than the, okay, like this now we swept liquidity from this one, right? We swept liquidity from this previous candle, right? We swept liquidity. But then when we have a candle like this, when we have a candle like this, see that this one didn't take out liquidity. Like this last candle didn't take out liquidity from this former high before selling. So we need candle that swept liquidity before dropping to the downside. And that will make you that will make it plus one a valid checklist for choosing an OB. So here now you have your liquidity sweep present in this point. Your liquidity sweep from the OB present in that point. So this is what we need, something that sweep liquidity. Then you can mark out the other block like this as something that sweeps liquidity, right? So, and then you wait for price to react to it. Wait for price to react to it, right? For selling to the downside, yeah. So, yeah, let's continue with the real structure markings. So here now we didn't sweep liquidity from this high at all. So let's just mark it out. We are not marking it to use, right? We are not marking it to use. Now look at this other order block. Look at this one here. Let me clear this. Let me clear this marking. All right, look at this one here. This other order block here. This one cleared liquidity from that high, right? It's clear liquidity from that high. It's clear liquidity from this high here, from this high at this point. It's clear liquidity from this high, and that made it, and it had imbalances. Look at this imbalance that later got filled. It had imbalance at this point. And this imbalances plus the liquidity that got swept made here a valid order block to sell the market to the downside. Right. So we also have the same repetition at this point. At this point, we clear liquidity from this previous high and liquidity sweep. Yeah, we clear liquidity from this high. We broke structure to the downside. BOS to the downside, and we had an imbalance being created. So, and that made this a valid order block to sell the market from, right? And you could see our price after price broke this structure, price came back, filled both the imbalance, and then start from this fair value and start from that other block before going to the downside, before selling to the downside, right? Yeah, so before selling to the downside. And we also have another move after price taps from here, right? We had an internal structure break, at this point, right? But then look at the structure you should be looking at. But then if you had been focusing on this structure, you would have missed this trade because after we broke this structure, like a minor trend, maybe in 3 minutes time frame or 1 minute time frame, we had a minor change of character inside of here, right? Let me just mark it well. Yeah, inside of here, and price clear liquidity from this other block. All right, price clear liquidity from this other block. Price clear liquidity from this other block. I think these things are too close. Let me try to price clear liquidity from this other block, right? And then you could see how price came back and sold from this region. Price came back and sold from this region. Price came back and sold from that region. So if you are not choose to enter here, you would see another entry here to sell from here. If you are not choose to enter from there, you will see another entry which is here to sell the market to the downside. And I prefer this because it gives you a smaller stop loss size, right? A smaller stop loss size, and it was a nice trade delivery. A nice trade delivery. So here now we also have here we didn't see price reacting to any of these levels, right? We didn't see price reacting to any of these levels, and none of this level actually, none of these other blocks. Here, let me mark out the other blocks. First other block, right? Second other block. None of this one actually clear liquidity. None of these other blocks, these two, none of them clear liquidity, right? And then that makes it an invalid order block to trade, a non-tradable order block. But then we have price reacting from these imbalances, price sold from these imbalances. Remember, imbalances can be a supply, imbalances are also parts of supply and demand zones, right? We have price reacting from these imbalances and selling from them. Let me make it small. So as price reacted from these imbalances, we came back and we have liquidity being swept from all of this high. This high was swept, right? This candlestick swept all the liquidity line in this high, and that made it form a change of character by breaking this trend inclusive. So we had a change of character formation here. Okay, so now as we took out this liquidity line in this high, right? Remember, liquidity was relying in this high, price took it out. And you look out for the other block that was formed there. And look at this other block. We also took our liquidity from this other block, being in personal. Okay, so we also swept nice. So we also swept liquidity from this candlestick. Let me zoom the candle, right? We swept liquidity from this candle. Right, we took out this candlestick here now, this candle here, this other one swept the high, and that is part of the reason for choosing a valid order block, right? A checklist for choosing a valid order block, and that will make us to sell this market using this point. And we had an imbalance created, so an imbalance created, and then that will make it to sell the market using this order block that swept liquidity, right? And that was how we sold from this point. That was how we saw from this point. I've done a whole lot here. So that was how we sold from that point in market. That was how we sold from that point. And if you have been trading that, let's forget about refining. If you have been trading that, your take profit targets will be at this point, right? You're going to take profit at this low. Why? Because you're in a downtrend. And what happens in a downtrend? Price will break lows. And as price is breaking lows, then you are likely going to hit TP when you set to take profit targets on a previous low, right? So price will take out this low, and then that will be it. Even if price wants to reverse, price doesn't just reverse like this. Price won't just reverse like this. Before price reverses, it will take out this weak low. So even if, let's say, price is going to long from this point, at least you take out this low, right? Snipe the low, then maybe start forming the structure for a reversals, and then we talk about price reversing. So we took out liquidity from this other block, price mitigated this other block, imbalances was created, and we sold to the downside. We sold to the downside. Okay, so we have a BOS at this point, a BOS at this point, another BOS to the downside. This is continuation. So, like everything I've said, if you look at this structure, it's combined with change of character, checklist for choosing another block must sweep liquidity from the other block must sweep liquidity, right? An imbalance must be created, price mitigated from there. You target the low as your take profit target, and yeah, that is it. So here is another BOS, right? Another BOS at this point, another BOS again. And the structure we've been forming here is lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So we are still in a downtrend. We are still in a downtrend. We are still in a downtrend. I was looking at this structure, like this minor structure that price clear liquidity from, right? This structure here, price took out liquidity from all of these highs. I sniped them, right? But then as price sniped, take out liquidity from them, right? It came back, reversed, and price mitigated this point, you know. Then we clear liquidity from this high again. We clear liquidity from this high again. We clear liquidity after we gave this BOS, right? After we had this BOS here, this BOS. Remember, you're not going to enter from here because we haven't broken structure, right? So you are waiting for till price break structure and gives you confirmation. So we broke structure here. So you'll be targeting this candlestick that clear liquidity. You are not going to enter from this first POI. Your POI to enter will be the second one. That is for a confirmation BOS. So we clear liquidity, price broke structure to the downside, and then you mark out this other block to sell from. This is the full order block. That is if you're not looking to refine, the full order block to sell from, and you target your low, and you target your low as a take profit target, right? To be a little RR. This one will be a short RR. So as your take profit target, and here is another BOS being created. So even if price is going to reverse, right, you will see price clearing this low. Like let's take a look at the example. Let's say set your TP here now. Price must clear this low before it reverses to the upside, right? So anything that price is going to do, now for price to break structure, we are not yet convinced when price break the structure. We can't call this a BOS, even if price breaks it with body. And we want to see price take out this high structure. We call this a BOS when price takes out this structure, right? We call this, you know that price is going to reverse when you see price taking out like this. Now price can just grab liquidity from this high, mitigate from this other block, and then start selling to the downside, and then start selling to the downside. So like this now, this is not, you can't say that price is reversing because it can just clear liquidity from all of these highs and then start reversing to the downside, right? So we want to see price take out this high here, this swing high at this point. You want to see price take it out impulsively, then maybe me retrace and give a POI to buy from. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be stopping here for checklist for choosing a high probability order blocks. We've done quite a whole lot. right? We've done quite a whole lot here. So it's been interesting doing all of these. Yeah, quite interesting. So quite interesting. So let's say price going to reverse from here. You want to see price, break structure, maybe anyhow price wants to do it. Yeah, but then you don't just try to long from a POI like this. So that is it for it. A price can even come here, grab liquidity from this side like this, and form a nice reversal pattern here. Form a nice reversal pattern and dump. Yeah, so all of these things are possible. Then we are looking at our other blocks, right? We are looking at our other blocks formation. So let's try to scroll back to all we've done slowly. And then let's go back to the right door where I will be ending the section. Yeah, so that will be all for checklist for choosing valid order blocks, right? Checklist for choosing valid OBs. So an OB must be at higher time frame support and resistance. Okay, I didn't explain this. The reason for this one is this: when an order block is coming from higher time frame region, you are more certain that okay, it's coming from higher time frame, it won't fail very quickly. Lower time frame, you can see everything, things can fail very fast, right? But then when it's coming from a higher time frame POI, a higher time frame support or resistance, a higher time frame support or resistance zone, or a higher time frame demand and supply zone. So you are likely to be certain that okay, price will react really well from here, right? So you look for a confirmation entry using your lower time frame, right? So an OB must sweep liquidity. We've just done that, right? An OB must mitigate a prior OB. Okay, let's say one is coming from here. Okay, let me just make it a bit simple, right? This change of character may be coming from somewhere. I just want to make this let's say this change of character may be coming from another supply zone, and in that same supply zone, a supply zone for maybe any time frame at all. And then we have price giving you your complete checklist for trying to trade the reversal, and you selling from this same zone, more of like another flow, right? Yeah. So an other block must mitigate the prior OB, right? So this is your prior OB, yeah. And this is the OB you are willing to sell for a confirmation trade. Yeah, and you target this low here as a take profit target. Yeah, target this low as a take profit target, and you see these things as an inducement, right? A liquidity buildup. So that is it. So an OB must have an inducement. Yeah, must have an inducement. This may be your inducement, more of like your inducement at this point, right? Okay, now it's be the inducement. So must have an inducement, and OB must break structure impulsively. We've just done that, right? Higher time frame order blocks are more effective than lower time frame order blocks. It's more of like the same. It's similar to this one. And OB must be at a higher time frame support and resistance zone because in higher time frame zones, should I say higher time frame order blocks, right? I believe there are a whole lot of others stacking there, more of like other than you just choosing any OB at all from lower time frame order blocks, they all hold, they will all play, yeah, they will play. But then looking at the higher time frame narratives, higher time frame structure oversees lower time frame structures in anything at all. So when you're going to be trading, you should also have it in mind whether you're a scalper to look out for the higher time frame narrative of any asset, crypto token, or any currency pair you're gonna trade. Yeah, so yeah, that brings us to the end of high probability order blocks. Yeah, so do well to see this video and then practice everything you've just learned. Yeah, so yeah, I will call it a day here.